Megan, if you've got something you want to say to me, get over here and say it to my face. I know you've been telling all kinds of lies about me behind my back, and it's obnoxious. You're a grown woman. Now act like it. Huh? Whatever are you talking about? Talk about you behind your back. Me? Perish the thought. A good little girl like me would never dream of bad-mouthing her wonderful sister-in-law. You're not fooling anyone, Megan, so don't bother trying to lie to me. I heard you myself. I know exactly what you've been saying about me. You've been begging my parents to kick me out of the house. It would be nice if you could at least admit that. Oh, crap! You heard that? Man, I thought you were in the shower when I was talking to them about that. Well, I wasn't. Now, while I did hear you begging them to kick me out, what I didn't hear was the why. So, Megan, why do you want me out of the house? Does it bother you to live in the same house as me for some reason? No, that's not true. It doesn't bother me at all. All I did was make a little proposal to your parents. Attempting to get me kicked out of my own house isn't a little proposal. This is my house. I was born here. I have every right to be here. On the other hand, you and my brother moved in on a moment's notice after you got married. So on top of inviting yourselves in, you're also trying to now have the place all to yourself? Pretty presumptuous of you, don't you think? Come on, Megan, let's hear it. What's your problem with me? Good grief, you're persistent. I was trying to keep from hurting your feelings, but if you really want me to lay it all out for you, here it goes. I hate living with you. It is a massive annoyance to have my sister-in-law living in the same house as us. All I did was tell your parents how I felt and suggested they kick you out. And I was well within my rights to do so. See? Doesn't it feel better to get that off your chest? And no, it doesn't just bother me to live in the same house as you. It disgusts me. You disgust me. I've had all I can take. I can't handle it anymore. You should be grateful I've bit my tongue for this long. Oh, I disgust you, do I? With every fiber of my being, you weird old spinster. You're 38, Sandra. You're almost 40. Being single and unemployed and still living at home? At your age? How could I not be disgusted by that? And you constantly mooch off your parents, using their money to go on vacations by yourself every chance you get. I don't even want to associate with someone like you, much less live with you. First off, so what if I'm single? That's none of your concern. It's my freedom to choose the whens, whos, and ifs of getting married for myself. Second, I'm not unemployed. I did quit my old job, but I only did so because I'd already gotten a confirmed job offer from my next company. The only reason I'm not working right now is that for various reasons, I won't be starting at that company for another few months. And about my vacations. I just got done doing a very busy job, and I'm about to start another one, so I'm using the time in between to enjoy myself a little. What's wrong with that? Did you actually think I was gonna believe that ridiculous story? You quit your job because you sucked at it and everyone hated you. You don't have another job lined up, you're just making that up. Like, seriously, you're almost 40, way over the hill, and single. What company in their right mind would want something like you working there? You're so pathetic. I almost feel sorry for you. Most ugly, old, unmarriageable women at least make themselves useful in the workplace. But you're no good in the office or in the home. You're 40 and your life has already hit a wall. That's a bunch of nonsense. Not one single word of that is true, Megan. I was not fired. I received a better offer from a company and decided to take it. Oh yeah? Where did you get hired, Sandra? At the unicorn and leprechaun factory? Man, I used to work with someone exactly like you at my old company. Is that so? Yep, you're becoming more and more like her every day. She was a 40-year-old single spinster like you. She had been with the company forever, and she always lorded that over everyone and bossed them around, but she was super incompetent. I finally got sick of it and went over her head, telling her superiors what a pathetic, useless employee she was. I may have embellished the story a bit, adding a few mistakes here and there that may not have been 100% truthful.
You lied about her?
I didn't lie. I embellished. Those are two different things. And it worked. She got fired. Apparently, she had a hard time getting a new job after that, so she ended up working part-time at a convenience store.
You ruined her life with lies, and you're laughing about it? And all because you just didn't like her for childish reasons?
I couldn't help it. It's like a gag reflex. Some people just make me sick. Especially gross, old, single women. Those types really get my blood boiling. They completely abandon every last shred of their femininity and just resign themselves to being single forever.
And that's why you want to kick me out of the house, is it? Because I remind you of the poor woman whose life you destroyed? Is that really what this is all about?
You're actually worse than her, though, since you don't even have a job. Every time I look at you, it reminds me of what a total slob you are, and I hate it. A woman your age having no choice but to mooch off your parents because you failed in life? Yuck. Oh my god, like that time a few weeks ago when you whined and whined and whined until your parents took you along on their trip to the lake house. I felt like I was going to puke watching you walk out the door with your suitcase.
I paid for my own share of the trip, so I really don't see what your problem could be with that. Actually, I paid for most of the expenses too. I was the one that suggested the trip. It was intended to be a present from me.
How long are you going to keep telling those stupid lies, Sandra? No one believes you. Hurry up and get out of the house, you ugly, unemployed spinster. Don't worry, your brother and I will take great care of this house and your parents. We don't need you around.
Well, I'm getting married too, so I'll be out of your hair before too much longer.
Okay, that might be one of your most hilarious lies yet. You are really committed to the bit, aren't you? What is with older women and their massively overinflated egos? You're so afraid to admit the truth.
And you are afraid to admit that you're wrong about me, so you just instantly assume everything I say is a lie. Whatever, have it your way. I'm packing my things up and leaving ASAP. Hey Travis, just letting you know, your wife kicked me out of the house, so I'm leaving. Take good care of Mom and Dad for me, okay?
What? What are you talking about, Sandra? You're moving out? You've never mentioned anything about this before.
Yeah, well, it seems like your wife really, really, really hates me. No matter how many times I try to explain how she's wrong, she keeps calling me an ugly, unemployed spinster. Apparently, I remind her of some woman she used to work with that she couldn't stand. Not sure what that's all about, though. That's only the beginning of the long list of horrible things she said to me, and I don't want to deal with it anymore, so I'm leaving.
Sandra, I am so sorry about all of that, but please, could you find it in your heart to forgive her? It's not really her fault at all.
How so?
Megan had this absolutely terrible woman for a superior at the company she used to work for. It seems like every day she was finding newer, crueler ways to torment Megan. It was all Megan could do to muster up the courage to show up at the office every morning. And if she says you look just like her, then I can kinda understand why it would be difficult for her to be around you. That awful woman caused Megan an unbelievable amount of trauma. So please don't hold it against Megan, she's a victim.
Is that what Megan told you, Travis? That she was being bullied by her superior at the company?
Yeah, she used to talk to me about that all the time back when we were dating. The way she showed such resilience and resolve in the face of incredible hardship. I admired the strength of her character so much that it made me want to marry her. I wanted to be there for her, to stand by her when times got tough. So one night when she was telling me yet another story of that awful woman's bullying, I said to her, "You don't ever have to go to that company ever again, Megan. I'm gonna work twice as hard for the rest of my life so you can stay at home and be a wife and mother." And then I took out the ring I had been saving and popped the question.
Wow, so that's how it happened.
But then, after we got married, Megan started saying that she felt lonely being all by herself in the house all day. That's when I got the idea to move in with our parents. The only problem was the fact that you were still living here. Now I know why she's been acting strangely lately. It's because seeing you was bringing back her trauma. Again, I'm really sorry for the way she treated you, but maybe it would be for the best if you moved out.
Travis, let me start off by saying that the way you stick up for your wife is one of your most admirable qualities. However, that exceptionally admirable quality is causing a big problem in the current situation. Megan is using you. I think it's time you stepped back and saw your wife for what she really is.
What? What are you trying to say, Sandra? I know exactly what Megan is. She's a sweet, soft-spoken, gentle woman. There are hardly any women like her around my age these days.
Again, Travis, I'm sure that's what you sincerely believe, but it's clear that I've done all I can do at this point, so I'll be taking my leave. Just promise me that you won't let her cause any trouble for Mom and Dad, okay?
Seriously, what's gotten into you all of a sudden, Sandra? Of course we're not going to cause any trouble for Mom and Dad. They're thrilled to have the two of us here. And one of these days we're going to have grandchildren for them, and then they'll be even happier. Look, you're my sister, but I have to stand with my wife here. I'm sorry living together didn't work out as well as I'd hoped. Don't worry, I'll take good care of Mom and Dad for you.
Hey there, Granny. So how's your job search going? Did you finally land that super sweet job you dreamed about? By the way, you have a bunch of stuff left behind here, and I want to get rid of it as soon as possible. Where should I send it? Or can I just throw it away?
Sorry about that. I've been too busy with stuff over here to swing by and pick up those boxes. I might actually be the best idea to have you send them to me. I'll give you my address. So go ahead and send them COD.
Gladly. These stupid boxes are taking up so much space. So tell me, what subsidized apartment should I send this junk to? Oh, I know. You're the new occupant of the cardboard box down the alley off Main Street, right?
Huh?
You poor thing. I don't want to have to imagine what sort of dump an unemployed spinster like you must be living in. Like, do you even have a bathroom? Or a door? I'll bet your neighbors are all drug dealers, too.
There you go, fantasizing about my life again. I'll give you the address in a second. I'm living in the new condo building that just got finished over on Center Avenue. I'd rather you don't know what my room number is, so just put my name on it and send it to the management office.
What? You mean that super sweet looking place with a rooftop pool? Why would I send it there? There's no way you could afford a room there.
Actually, there is a way, because I just moved in here with my husband. The rooms here are incredible. They look just like they did in the commercials. I'm gonna love life here.
Your husband? You got married?
I told you the day I left the house, don't you remember? I said I was planning on leaving in the near future anyway.
But that was just you making up some more nonsense. Travis has never talked about you having a fiancé, boyfriend, or anything. You have to be making up that stuff about getting married.
What's with this sudden interest in my love life, Megan? I thought you were disgusted by single, unemployed 40-year-olds. Anyways, I'm under no compulsion to divulge the details of my private life to anyone, family or otherwise. I've been dating him for 3 years now. I've just told my family about him.
You kept him a secret for that long?
It's not so much that I was keeping him a secret, it's just that, well, no one ever asked if I had a boyfriend, so... But yeah, we're both pretty far along in our careers, so we've got a really solid amount of savings put together. A condo in a place like this is actually slightly on the cheap side for people like us.
What do you mean, we? You're unemployed. I've seen the way you just lay around in the house all day. Even if you're really getting married, and that's a big if, you must be living completely off his money.
It's not my fault that you never listened to me all the million times I told you that I do have a job. If you would have listened, you would have known that I simply quit my old job in preparation to take the new one. And now I get to spend the next 6 months until I start that job relaxing in my sweet new condo. In regards to our finances, I was already making a decent salary at my old company. Once I officially start my new job, I'll be making over $100,000 a year.
What? $100,000 a year? That's insane!
If you think that's a lot of money, you should see what my husband makes. Compared to him, my salary is like a drop in the bucket of our net worth. He's on the board of directors for his company, which is one of the biggest firms in the area. Plus, he's one of the primary candidates for the next CEO.
I don't believe this! You're making $100,000 a year by yourself, and your husband is making even more? But why would you get your hands on such an eligible bachelor? You're just some ugly old spinster. You don't deserve a guy like that. You should marry someone, I don't know, less awesome than that.
I'm terribly sorry for breaking the rules of who I'm allowed to marry. But, for the record, we actually met through work. His company is in the construction industry, and several years back, my company started dealing with them. We interacted quite often, on a professional level, and eventually we started seeing each other outside of work. There was a surprising amount we had in common. We hit it off right away. And one thing led to another, and, well, now we're married.
Wait a second! Did you say your husband's company is in the construction industry?
That's right. Have you ever heard of the company Verdant Lumber? They started out exclusively in the construction industry, but they've branched out into furniture and other similar things lately.
But that's Travis's company!
Whoa. Really?
He got a new job right before we got married. He said that if he was gonna have me at home, he wanted to have a better job with a higher income potential. That's when he applied to Verdant Lumber. Well, I guess it's more accurate to say it's a child company of Verdant Lumber.
My oh my. It's a small world, isn't it? To think my brother is working for the same company as my husband. Well, it's a pretty big company, so they probably won't ever interact with each other very much. Anyway, I have to get back to setting up stuff over here. Let me know when you ship those boxes over, will you?
I just heard from Megan that your husband works for Verdant Lumber. Is that true? Tell me his name, please.
His name is Alexander Martinson, but I'm not sure you'd recognize the name. You're all part of the same group, but there are well over 1,000 employees working in the main corporate office like him.
I can't believe it. To think Alexander is your boyfriend. Well, I guess he's your husband now.
Oh, you do know him then?
Know him? I just talked to him 5 seconds ago. He's my immediate superior. I report directly to your husband, Sandra.
Wow.
Yeah, they just started up the furniture division at corporate headquarters. A team was launched last week to work on setting up the company's first direct sale furniture store. I'm on that team, and, well, your husband is the team's leader.
Man, that is one crazy coincidence.
Alexander is one of the best people I've ever worked with. We shoot the breeze pretty often while on our breaks, and lately he's been talking about getting married and moving into a new condo. And I thought, that sounds awfully similar to what you've been doing lately.
So that's why you texted me just now, to check if your hunch was right?
Sandra, why didn't you tell me you were getting married? You never told any of us. How could you keep something like that a secret from Mom, Dad, and me?
Well, I mean, I'm already almost 40. I didn't think you'd be interested. Who wants to hear about some old maid's love life anyway? I thought it would just make you guys uncomfortable to hear about it. So, yeah, we kinda eloped the other day.
Sandra!
Just so you know, I did actually tell Mom and Dad about getting married. They've been really good to me and leaving me alone to determine my own path. I don't think they ever once expressed anything like, "Aren't you ever gonna get married?" or that sort of thing. They're really great parents.
But man, it's still crazy to think my boss is your husband.
Yeah, I do feel kind of bad about dropping the bomb on you, but in my defense, I didn't actually know either. So, yeah, that's what's going on in my life right now. It was actually pretty good timing for your wife to kick me out. I'm now enjoying the newlywed life with my husband in our brand new condo.
Good afternoon, Sandra. Hey, how would you like to stop by and have a cup of tea one of these days? I would love to hear all the juicy details of how you and your husband's life is going.
Huh? Oh, what's with the sudden change of heart, Megan? Did you just say I disgust you with every fiber of your being? Those were your words, by the way.
What? Can I say I just hate unemployed, unmarried old women? Now you're married, and I realize I was under the wrong impression with your work situation. So I don't have any reason to hate you anymore. Oh, and could you send me some pictures of your condo? I'd love to see what the view is like from your floor. Maybe you could even invite us over for dinner sometime.
Well, this is a side of you I've never seen before.
Yeah, I know, right? This is how I act around people who aren't unemployed, unmarried old women. I'm so glad everything got cleared up between us. What was I thinking calling you unemployed and all that stuff? I was such a dummy. Your parents told me that you really did pay for the vacation you took. That was so kind of you.
Oh, that trip to the lake house?
I was thinking, maybe next time you could take us along too. Your mom said the house was absolutely gorgeous. It's basically 15 steps from the back door of the house to the beach. I've always dreamed of spending time in a house like that.
This is pretty hard for me to take in. Up until about last week, you were calling me an ugly old spinster.
I've got it! We can go on vacation together to commemorate us repairing our relationship. You can afford to book the lake house for a week or two, can't you? I'm a housewife, though, so I'm afraid I won't be able to pay anything.
Wow.
I know. We can go bikini shopping together. Well, bikini shopping for me, and one-piece shopping for you, I guess. But before all of that, how about that cup of tea? When can I come over and see your new condo? I'm good coming over anytime you're available.
You are never allowed in this condo. Never. I'm telling the building manager to call the police immediately if you try to come in.
What? Why am I not allowed to come over? And you're gonna call the police on me? What have I done to deserve that?
Honestly, I think she'd call the police on you even without me telling her to. I don't blame her either. After all you did to her, you know how you made up a bunch of lies in order to get her fired? I had only heard your side of that story, but once I heard hers, holy smokes, you are evil, Megan.
What?
It really is a small world, Megan. This condo building's manager and owner is none other than the woman you forced out of your old company. She worked so hard for that company for so many years. Then one day, some young thing with an attitude comes along and starts being awful to her. But did you get punished for your behavior? No. She did. That poor woman.
No. That cannot be true. That old hag is the owner of the newest and most exclusive condominium building in the city?
I told you. She was a very hard worker. She saved up and invested very well for herself. She's always talking to the girls that come around about how important investing is for single women. She's been dreaming of owning her own building like this since she was young. And when you came along, she finally found the perfect opportunity to make it a reality. She had enough saved up to make her down payment, so she decided she'd had enough of you and your harassment and quit her job.
I thought she was fired.
She didn't want to give you the satisfaction. So once she heard you had gone over her head with your lies, she quit. Seriously, how could you be so awful to such a kind woman? She's been fantastic to me and my husband. Just the other day, she invited me over to her room for some afternoon tea. When we get to talking about her history, that's when I realized that she was the woman you told me about.
This is way beyond the level of mere coincidence. I still can't believe it. That old hag owns the best condo in the city. But I heard she was working part-time at a convenience store.
Oh, that's true actually. Being a condo manager isn't a 24/7 job. So she decided to pick up a part-time job to do in her free time.
She works out of boredom?
Yep. Anyway, I wouldn't recommend trying to come to the building. The best case scenario is that you simply waste a trip. The worst case scenario, you take a trip in a police car.
I'd like to avoid that if possible.
In that case, allow me to make 2 recommendations to you. 1, never show your face around my condo building. And 2, never contact me again. Goodbye. After that, I kept taking my regular trips to the lake house with my parents, but I make a point to never invite Megan. I asked my parents about what life is like at their house since I've been gone. The good news is that Megan still puts on her sweet and innocent act in front of them, so they aren't having any issues with her. They say that as long as she doesn't start acting up like she did towards me, then they won't have any problems with her living there. That's reassuring to hear. As for me, Megan occasionally sends me an over-complimentary text to try and find some way to work herself back into my life. But I've yet to respond to a single one. I still feel bad for my brother Travis, though. He's still under the impression that his wife is some sweet little angel. I genuinely do admire and respect the devotion he has to his wife. I guess all I can do is hope that she keeps up the act around him too, for the rest of her life.